Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain the chapter The Rat Trap, taken from Flamingo book grade 12. Now, this is a story about an old, disheartened peddler who is taken in and shown generosity by a young woman. Her generosity and kindness changed his bitter attitude towards life, and this story conveys a universal message that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through love, respect, kindness, and understanding. Now, this title, The Rat Trap, has been used as a metaphor because the writer wants to highlight the human predicament. Just as a rat is fooled by a bait and gets trapped, most human beings are also likely to fall into the trap of material benefits. Now, the story setting, this is set amidst the mines of Sweden, which are, rich in iron ore and which figure large in the history of that country. The story is told somewhat in the manner of a fairy tale. Here is the introduction of the author, Salma Lagerlof, who was born in 1858 and died in 1940. She was a Swedish writer whose stories have been translated into many languages. Now, a universal theme runs through all of her stories. And what is that universal theme? It's a belief that essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. And this is the exact theme which runs through the chapter, The Rat Trap. Now, these are the learning objectives. The writer wants us to understand the loneliness in everybody's life and the need to bond with others. Again, this is the theme which she wants to highlight, that essential goodness in human being can be awakened by love, compassion, and generosity. And also, one idea behind the story is to highlight the fact that appearances are deceptive. So here our lesson starts. Once upon a time, there was a man who went around selling small rat traps of wire. He made them himself at odd moments. From the material he got by begging in the stores or at the big farms. But even so, the business was not especially profitable, so he had to resort to both begging and petty thievery to keep body and soul together. Even so, his clothes were in rags, his cheeks were sunken, and hunger gleamed in his eyes. So, in this first paragraph, we got to know about the protagonist who is a rat trap seller. He used to sell small rat traps made of wire, and these rat traps were made by him in his free time. At odd moments means in his free times. Uh, he used to collect material required for rat trap to make rat traps by begging from the stores or big farms. So still his business was not earning him enough to survive properly. Therefore, he had to beg or steal in order to survive. His clothes were completely worn out, old, his cheeks were lowered inside due to malnutrition, and one could easily see the hunger in his eyes. So this was all about the protagonist, rat trap seller, who is a vagabond, stranger, peddler, tramp. These all names can be given to him. No one can imagine how sad and monotonous life can appear to such a vagabond who plods along the road left to his own meditations. Left to his own meditations means completely lost in his own thought. But one day this man had fallen into a line of thought which really seemed to him entertaining. Now the life of this rat trap seller was very sad and boring. He was homeless, and slowly with heavy steps he would walk along the road, lost in his own thoughts. And one such fine day, he was while walking on the road, while on the road, he got into he got lost in a series of thoughts, which he found very interesting. So, what were those thoughts? Let's find out. He had naturally been thinking of his rat traps when suddenly he was struck by the idea that the whole world about him, the whole world with its lands and seas, its cities and villages was nothing but a big rat trap. It had never existed for any other purpose than to set baits for people. It offered riches and joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork, and as soon as anyone left himself be tempted to touch the bait, it closed in on him. And then everything came to an end. Now, when he was walking along the road, a thought, a thought came in his mind that the whole world, which includes land, sea, cities, villages, was similar to a rat trap. He thought that there was no meaning of the existence of this world. It was nothing but a temptation. Just like cheese and pork, which we offer as bait to catch the rat, same way, the world is also offering to all human beings a bait in the form of joy, food, shelter. So we all get trapped into this rat trap very easily. The world had, of course, never been very kind to him, so it gave him unusual joy to think ill of it in this way. It became a cherished pastime of his during many dreary ploddings to think of people he knew who had let themselves be caught in the dangerous snare, and of others who were still circling around the bait. Now, because the world had never been kind to him, he also started thinking ill of others. He also started thinking, having bad thoughts about others. So it became a favorite pastime for him to think bad about the world. So during dull moments, these thoughts made him happy. So he continued with thinking ill of those who were known to him. He would imagine those people who were already trapped in this rat trap of worldly things, and also those who were about to get trapped in this. So this thought would amuse him. One dark evening, as he was trudging along the road, he caught sight of a little grey cottage by the roadside, and he knocked on the door to ask shelter for the night, nor was he refused. Instead of the sour faces which ordinarily met him, the owner, who was an old man without wife or child, was happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. Immediately he put the porridge pot on the fire and gave him supper. Then he carved off such a big slice from his tobacco roll that it was enough both for the stranger's pipe and his own. Finally, he got out an old pack of cards and played Jollis. Jollis is a Sweden card game with his guest until bedtime. So, in this paragraph, we came to know that one evening the rat trap seller was walking very slowly, and he saw a little grey cottage which stood by the road. He went up to the cottage and knocked at the door so as to get shelter for the night. Now, generally, he was not helped by anyone, but this time he was welcomed by the old man into the cottage because the old man was also feeling lonely. His wife had died. He was a lonely man, and he was happy to get a company in the in this man as this man. So the old man gave him some porridge to eat and then shared his tobacco with the guest. After this, both played cards till bedtime. The old man was just as generous with his confidences as with his porridge and tobacco. The guest was informed at once that in his days of prosperity his host had been a crofter at Ramsjo Iron Works and had worked on the land. Now that he was no longer able to do day labor, it was his cow which supported him. Yes, that Bossy was extraordinary. She could give milk for the creamery every day, and last month he had received all of 30 kroner in payment. Now, we got to know about the crofter's life. The rat trap seller felt that the old man was not only liberal in sharing the porridge but also his secrets, because we can see he is sharing all his secrets of his life. So the crofter told him that he was a rich man when he used to work on the rented farm, and as he was old now, he could not work, so he had to be dependent on the cow for his living. The cow gave him enough milk every day to be sold in the factory that produced cheese and cream. And the old man said that he was able to earn 30 kroners last month because of the cow's milk. So we can see that he has given all the secrets of his life to him. The stranger must have seemed incredulous, but the old man got up and went to the window, took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame, and picked out three wrinkled 10 kroner bills. These he held up before the eyes of his guest, nodding knowingly, and then stuffed them back into the pouch. The next day, both men got up in good season. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man probably thought he should not stay in bed when the head of the house had gotten up. They left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with his rat traps said goodbye and thank you, and thereupon each went his own way. So, here in this paragraph, we came to know that next morning, both the rat trap seller and the crofter woke up early because crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and even the rat trap seller felt that the owner of the house had awakened, so he should also leave the bed. So they both came out of the cottage at the same time. The old man locked the door and went to his work, and the rat trap seller also thanked him and went his own way. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler stood again before the door. He did not try to get in. However, he only went up to the window, smashed a pane stuck in his hand, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He took the money and thrust it into his own pocket. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. So we can see that uh, this 30 kroner had worked as a bait. Okay. So the rat trap seller, after half an hour, he returned to the cottage, broke down the window pane where the pouch was hung, and he took away the money kept in his pocket, put the pouch back in its place, and walked off. As he walked along with the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. He realized, of course, that at first he dared not continue on the public highway, but must turn off the road into the woods. During the first hours, this caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse, for it was a big and confusing forest which he had gotten into. He tried, to be sure, to walk in a definite direction, but the paths twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest. All at once he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. Now his own turn had come. He had let himself be fooled by a bait and had been caught. The whole forest, with its trunks and branches, its thickets and fallen logs, closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. So we can see that the peddler, initially he was very happy because he had money in his pocket, and he then thought of walking through the forest as it was unsafe to walk on the highway because he feared being caught. So initially it was not difficult to walk through the forest, but later on it got confusing for him as he forgot his way. So he tried hard to walk in the right direction, but in vain. So he found himself at the same place again and again. And at that point of time, he started thinking that now he himself was caught in the trap of the world, just like other people. He was fooled uh, by the old man's house, by the bait of money, the old man's money, and the forest seemed like a prison full of trunks and branches. So it was like an impassable uh, prison which could not be crossed. So here we can see that he was completely lost in the big and confusing forest. It was late in December, darkness was already descending over the forest. This increased the danger and increased also his gloom and despair. Finally, he saw no way out, and he sank down on the ground, tired to death, thinking that his last moment had come. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping. There was no doubt as to what that was. He raised himself. Those are the hammer strokes from an iron mill, he thought. There must be people nearby. He summoned all his strength, got up, and staggered in the direction of the sound. So we can see that in the month of December, how cold it must be. It had completely got dark outside early only due to this one winter season. So when it got dark, his hope of escaping the forest reduced. The danger to his life increased. So did his feeling of being hopeless. So there was no way left for him. He sat on the ground and was so tired and terrified that he thought that this was the last moment and soon he is going to die. So as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a very strong, regular sound. It was a hard sound that was coming at the regular intervals. He soon realized that these sounds were the sounds of hammer stroking, hammer strokes from an iron mill. So he thought that maybe he can find some people nearby, and with this thought, he gathered some strength and started walking towards the sound, towards the direction of the sound with great difficulty. Obviously, staggered means he was walking with great. The Ramsjo Iron Works, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant with smelter, rolling mill, and forge. In the summer time, long lines of heavily loaded barges and scows slid down the canal, which led to a large inland lake. And in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted down from the big charcoal crates. So here we can see the description of Ramsjo Iron Works has been given, which was a large plant and which had closed down long ago. It had a smelter, a rolling mill, and a forge. And in summer, long flat-bottomed boats carrying the material would come down to the canal, which led to a large inland lake for supplying material to the mill. And in winters, the roads turned black due to the coal dust that came along because of the transportation of charcoal crates. So you can see here few new terms explained properly with pictures. Smelting is a process of applying heat to ore in order to extract a base metal. Rolling is a process in which metal is passed through one or more pairs of rolls to reduce the thickness and to make the thickness uniform. The concept is similar to the rolling of dough. Forging is a manufacturing process involving the shaping of metal, and the blows are delivered with hammer, often a powerful hammer. So here we can see all these new terms which are introduced in the chapter. During one of the long dark evenings just before Christmas, the master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the crude iron which had been put in the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. Every now and then one of them got up to stir the glowing mass with the long iron bar, returning in a few moments dripping with perspiration. Perspiration means sweating. Though, as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. All the time there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. The big bellows groaned and the burning coal cracked. The fire boy shoveled charcoal into the maw of the furnace with a great deal of clatter. Outside roared with waterfall, and a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tiled roof. So here we can see a beautiful description uh, has been given of the sounds and the settings of the iron mill. So here we can see big bellows. So these kind of sounds were coming, and shoveling charcoal into the maw of the furnace. So all these sounds were coming, and from outside there was a waterfall, and the sounds were coming because of the raindrops against falling against the brick tile roof. So we could see, we can imagine. So this kind of description is, we can see that the author has used imagery, lots of imagery. It was probably on account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge. So, because of the sound, he did not notice that the gate is opened by someone, and the rat trap seller had entered the mill until he stood close up to the furnace. Surely it was nothing unusual for poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty panes, and to come in to warm themselves in front of the fire. Because it was winter season, that is why it was very obvious for such vagabonds to walk in and to keep themselves warm, walk in order to keep themselves warm. The blacksmiths glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty, ragged, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. He asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith nodded a haughty consent without honoring him with a single word. The tramp did not say anything either. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. In those days, the Ramsjo iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible, and at this very moment he came into the forge on one of his nightly rounds of inspection. So here we can see that another character is being introduced, that is the iron master of that mill, and he was very particular in his work. He was very ambitious. He wanted to produce the best quality of iron in the town, so he would come to inspect at any time. So day and night he could walk in the mill at any time. So it was the time when he had come for an inspection, and maybe he noticed the peddler. Let's see in the next slide. Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. The iron master did not follow the example of the blacksmiths, who had hardly deigned to look at the stranger. The deigned means to do something that one considers to be beneath one's dignity. So he was not following the footsteps of the iron master, the blacksmith. The iron master was very particular, so he walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully, and then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. So he wanted to see exactly who the person was. But of course, it's you, Nils Ulf. And we can see here, after removing the hat, he has mistaken him with someone else. He said, "How do you look?" The man with the rat traps had never before seen the iron master at Ramsjo and did not even know what his name was. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner. So therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. So he decided not to tell him the truth that he is not Nils Ulf, because he wanted his belief to be there. He wanted him to believe as Nils Ulf only, so that he can extract some few kroner from him. "Yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me," he said. "You should not have resigned from the regiment," said the iron master. "That was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at the time, I never would have happened. It never would have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me." So here we can see that he is inviting him to come along with him to his house, to go along up to the manor house, and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade. That, however, did not please the tramp. "No, I couldn't think of it," he said, looking quite alarmed. He thought of the 30 kroner, To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away as inconspicuously as possible. Inconspicuously means invisible or which is not noticeable. So secretly he wanted to escape from that place. Please don't think that I have such a fine home that you cannot show yourself there, he said. Elizabeth is dead, and as you may already have heard, so it must be his wife. My boys are abroad, and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter and myself. We were just saying that it was too bad we didn't have any company for Christmas. Now come along with me and help me make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. So here we can see that he is inviting him to come along with him to his home so that he can celebrate Christmas together, and he can give him a company at the Christmas feast. So this is the pictorial description. Iron Master arrives at the mill and he mistakes the tramp to be his regimental comrade Nils Ulf. Here we can see that he mistakes him with this person and he invites him to his manor house. But Vagabond refused, thinking that it would be like voluntarily throwing himself into the lion's den, worried about the 30 kroner, because he had stolen 30 kroner from the